Okay, we're going to talk about quotes now. We're in the letter T, alphabetical order. The first guy is Terman. I'll just briefly tell you, he's one of these guys that was involved early in research on IQ, testing IQ, and following up people with high IQs. He followed about 1,000 students who had IQs of 140 and up. Okay, the average IQ at a place like Stanford is around 140. The one thing I just wanted to say was Terman and a lot of these other early IQ people, especially like from England, they were all involved in eugenics. Because there's a tendency in the modern world to think, oh, those evil Nazis, they're the eugenics people. No. United States and England were teaching the Germans about eugenics. Eugenics was a big thing. This guy, Terman, was a member of eugenics societies. So was the famous female psychologist, Hollingsworth. So were a whole bunch of other people talking about these things, Margaret Sanger and all these others. So what I'm trying to tell you is atheism and Darwinism lead to all of this. This is what you get out of that. If you say that man is not created in the image of God, then all of a sudden he's just a talking monkey, then all of a sudden there's no such thing as individual rights. That's one of the reasons why secular rulers always want to get rid of this idea of natural rights, because it gives them more power. So I'm not going to go into all of Terman. That's a whole big story. But I can just tell you, United States was doing involuntary sterilization of people who it thought were stupid, or if it thought there was something else bad about them. It was a big thing in the USA. And I'm also going to say a lot of this came out of England. And England also, my father is from Ireland. They would use it to deny the humanity of the Irish people. So if you want to really understand world history, what you're going to see is atheism leads to a form of elitism in the aristocracy, whereby they think the lives of the non-aristocracy are worthless and should have no rights, and they should have the right to sterilize them or do whatever they want to them. So you can study him for yourself, and you will see what I'm saying is I'm understating the situation. Okay, let's go to the next person here, Tertullian. Now, Tertullian was a Christian scholar in the early days. He lived 160 to 235 AD. He's famous for a couple of quotes, okay? He worked in Carthage, but he wrote in Latin, the Romans, kind of like Augustine. He was before Augustine. He said, there are two types of obedience. One can obey like a son out of love, or like a slave out of fear. I believe in order to understand. And I actually think there's some intelligence to that. People think, oh, that's stupid. I believe in order to understand. No. What I'm getting at is sometimes you have to believe in something a little bit initially to learn about it. Like you can say, I will just believe in the low-fat vegan diet for 3 months and try it. I'll believe in it enough to try it and test it out. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, gee, it really works. And I would also say it's good to do that with Christianity and the Roman Catholic Church. Say, you know what? I'll just give this Catholic perspective for a little try for a while and see why does it lead to all the best art, literature, painting, architecture, hospitals, everything else. And when you start to understand it from that perspective, you're like, holy crap. And that's also why I think Protestantism is weak, because Protestantism is only, there's a carrot and a stick. The carrot is a good motivation. The stick is, punishments. And Protestant is way heavy on punishment. Do as we say or I'll kick your ass, you'll burn in hell. It's like, oh yeah, screw you, leave me alone, okay? Whereas Catholicism is more like, look at all these beautiful things. Let's enjoy these things. Let's enjoy our time together. Let's have fun. We'll have a feast day on Saturday. We'll have a saint's day on Wednesday. We're going to have so much fun. That's what Catholicism, that's why it's better. Yeah, the message of Christ never changes. That's true. But I'm just saying there's a lot of fun. Okay, Tertullian, more quotes. We multiply whenever we are cut down by you. The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. Yep, that helped the Catholic Church to grow. Martyrdom was considered a virtual guarantee of salvation. William Cook, one of the teachers about early Christianity at thegreatcourses.com. Here's a famous Tertullian quote. What has Athens to do with Jerusalem? What concord is there between the academy and the church? And the idea was people thought, oh, well, they should be separate things, religion and science. No, they can't be. If you don't have religion and science, it all goes into the garbage can. Atheistic science is just lying. It's just corporations pay for whatever they want. And if you don't agree with them, say, well, kick your ass. Okay, is that science? Do what I say or I'll kick your ass. Okay, that's what you get with atheism. The corporations say, this is how it is. These are the standard drug polls. give the amphetamine, to the 5-year-old with so-called attention deficit, or you'll lose your job. Okay, fine, I'll poison the kid. Okay, I mean, that's what it does. Okay, versus if you say all men are created in the image of God, we have to do what's right, even by the least, poor, backward-ass person, then you're going to be a lot nicer. You're never going to have perfection with humans, but you'll be way nicer. Okay, here's a Tertullian quote. Philosophers are the patriarchs of heretics. The guy who was most famous for unifying faith and reason was Aquinas. He realized there's only one truth. Okay, next guy we'll do is Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest geniuses who ever lived. He's up there for smartest person who ever lived with Aristotle and with Isaac Newton. So he was like from Yugoslavia, Serbia, and he had an older brother who was this brilliant student, and then he died, and then the parents, put all this pressure on Nicholas to be a great student. He was a total workaholic. He went and worked with Thomas Edison, and Thomas Edison, great inventor, but not very nice. And he gave him a verbal promise to pay him, but then he wouldn't pay him what he had promised. So Tesla resigned from Edison. Then they got in a battle over electrical current. Edison pushed direct current, which you can't send very far, whereas Tesla knew right away alternating current was superior. He partnered with Westinghouse, another famous guy in the electricity business. And then he powered the Chicago World's Fair called the Columbian Exposition, and that was in about 1893, and it was a magnificent success, and Tesla and alternating current became super famous. He also used Niagara Falls to generate electrical energy, so he was way ahead of his time. But he would get pissed off about things. He's probably the main inventor of the radio, but Marconi, the Italian, got credit for it. He was pissed off about that. He had no wife, no kids, no protege. He was, kind of a loner, a little bit antisocial. They seized all his papers after his death. People say he was working on all kinds of advanced things. Who knows? And he would mock Edison. He was way smarter than Edison. He said, if Edison had to find a needle in a haystack, he would not stop to reason where it is most likely to be. He would just proceed at once with the feverish diligence of a bee to examine straw after straw until he found the object of his search. Just a little theory and calculation would have saved him 90% of his labor. Antisocial behavior is a trait of intelligence in a world full of conformists. The present is theirs, but the future is mine. The mind is sharper and keener in solitude. Originality thrives in seclusion, free of outside influences, beating down upon us to cripple the creative mind. Be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is where ideas are born. All that was great in the past was ridiculed, condemned, suppressed. I don't think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men. Okay, so that's it for Tesla. And as far as the married men go, what happens to a guy once he gets married is, men are cheap, We just think, and we don't need almost anything. Like I said, I'm happy for the whole day if I just leave me in a room with a book or a computer. I don't really need anything. Whereas a woman, she's always needing more money. We need new furniture. I need this. I need that. I need to go to the water park. I want to go to the beach. I want to go on vacation. A woman, no matter what she has, she always wants more. So she's always spending money. And so what happens with a guy is, he gets married, they have a kid. He moves out to the suburbs so the schools will be better for the kid. Moves next to the wife's mother so she can take care of the kids. Now he's got a long drive, commute to work. He wants to get promoted, make more money for the wife and kids. So he's working long hours. A lot of times he's taking a job he doesn't really want. So it stifles his productivity. He still might be quite productive, but he'd be more productive if he was single. He might be unhappy and lonely, but he'd be more productive. Anyways, that's Nikola Tesla. I hope you found that helpful.